Speaker.
Mr. Dominguez, for what purpose?
Is the author available for some questions?
Yes.
Well, the gentleman yields for questions. The gentleman yields for questions.
Yes, absolutely.
Mr. Lozano?
Yes, sir.
Which districts does this amendment involve?
35, 37, and 38.
And you just had an amendment to the amendment.
Yes,
Was
sir.
the population changed for any of the districts?
Slightly, but they are all still within the deviation, and they're all actually pretty much under the ideal district size. And 35 of those would be the largest.
What is the deviation on each of those districts?
The exact percentage. So on District 35, minus 0.5 of ideal.
Minus 0.5 or 5?
Minus 0.5. So less than 1% from negative from the deviation, the ideal district size.
Well, what's the population that you have on that?
For 35, 193 and 328. 193, 328.
So you took population away from District 37 and you gave it to District 35? Is that correct?
Some. It was primarily a swap in Cameron. The Cameron portion of District 35, it was primarily a swap.
When was this amendment filed?
About 10 minutes before the deadline.
So about 1:50 p.m. on Sunday or after that?
About 5:50.
Because I recall getting an email saying that all of the amendments had to be filed by 2 p.m. on Sunday.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood your question. I can give you the exact time. If I could just pull it up on my district viewer. I'm sorry, my iPad is not refreshing to the current amendment, but I can get that for you.
Thank you, please. Now, when you filed this amendment, did you consult with any of the state district members that reside in either House Districts 35, 37, or 38?
No, it was on Sunday. I obviously, it was at the last minute that I was able to, if you remember, I used to represent Cameron County, and I got to meet a lot of people in Willacy and Cameron County. Many of those folks are still very close friends of mine, and Harlingen had been with Willacy. Many of those folks wanted to return and to also have a competitive district.
When you represented parts of Cameron, did you represent Harlingen?
Yes.
Your district went all the way into Harlingen?
Yes, sir.
So you represented Combs
Yes.
and Primera?
Yes.
And
La Feria, part of Arroyo City, one street in Port Isabel, South Padre Island.
yeah. So when you got this information from this person or people from Harlingen, did you speak to the state representative
No, I
that
did not.
represents Harlingen?
I did not, sir.
And that was on Sunday. What about on Monday? Did you speak with any of the state district members that are affected by your amendment on Monday?
Not until today, sir. Yes, sir.
So is it the custom
It's
in this
honestly,
house to mess with other people's house districts without at least engaging in a conversation with them?
well, basically what occurred is people in Cameron County began to hear that there may be vacancies in seats. They saw the opportunity to be able to draw a district that's competitive. It's not affecting an incumbent, and that's basically, there was the opportunity to do this. It was at the very last minute.
What do you mean by that?
Well, there's a retirement in 38, and the current rep of 37.
Has the current representative of District 37 made any type of announcement that he is not seeking re-election?
No. So
And who is the current?
that's you. And so if you don't want to run for Congress and you want to stay in the House, there's an open seat for you, and you're in 38.
My reading of the proposed amendment that you have draws my house out of District 37 and into District 38. Is that correct?
It draws it into District 38. So basically, what had happened before is what we're doing is we're putting almost all of Brownsville in District 38. More compact, communities of interest, clearly. As you know, there's a rivalry, like where I grew up, between one town and another town within the same county, between Harlingen and Brownsville. In this case, Brownsville would have their own rep, Harlingen could have their own rep, and Hidalgo County would come over, and that rep would represent part of Brownsville as well.
And my reading of your map, you're going to put the city of San Benito into District 35 that wraps all the way around Hidalgo County, all the way into the westernmost part of that county. So anybody that lives in San Benito, according to your proposed map, will have to drive through 4 other state districts to get to the main office in District 35. Is this what you're saying, that the people in San Benito now don't have quality representation locally because they have to drive all the way to another county? And you think this is good for the people in San Benito?
Well, this district doesn't put all of San Benito in 35. Some of it is in 37. It's currently 35 has Harlingen. This essentially removes that portion and puts 35 going into getting part of West Brownsville.
Representative, do you understand why people in San Benito and Los Indios, Santa Maria, might be a little frustrated with this map because now it makes them drive all the way across the valley to go have a meeting with their state rep, when currently they're about a 5-10 minute drive away?
Well, I don't, and when I represented Cameron County, my office was in Kingsville, and that's about 2 hours away from some of my constituents in Cameron County. They were equally accessible to the legislature. My job, I ended up opening a part-time office in Cameron County as well.
Can I ask you this question? Mm-hmm. Does any member from the Rio Grande Valley like this map, this amendment that you offered?
Like it?
Like it.
I hope so.
Well, can you name me one person from the Rio Grande Valley delegation that would vote for this map?
I couldn't tell you. Yes, sir. And I understand your frustration. I really do.
Well, if you understand my frustration, are you willing to pull this amendment down so that we can sit down and talk about this and talk about the constituents that you have concerns about in the city of Harlingen, and possibly bring those representatives to bring in to be part of this conversation?
Well, as part of the process is this body.
Are you willing to take a 1-hour recess so we can sit down and talk about this like government leaders?
I wouldn't want to delay the House.
It's 1 hour. We got a few hours to go. We'll be here.
I'd rather just move ahead and put it up for a vote. I mean, we could talk right now. I'll give you an extension of time, obviously.
Mr. Lozano, and I'm trying to be as respectful as possible, understanding the motivation that you have, that people in Harlingen said to you that they saw this as an opportunity to create
a competitive district.
Yes, sir. Correct?
Yes, sir.
That's the motivation behind this, right?
And to be again with, so Willacy, as you're driving south, as you know, on the highway, you go through Raymondville, you go through Combs, you go through, and then you go straight to Harlingen. Those two communities have a lot more in common than other parts, and so they want to be with Willacy again. And this does that.
Currently, the current map of District 38 covers,
The gentleman's time has expired.
Mr. Speaker, I move to extend the gentleman's time.
Members, you've heard the motion. Is there objection to the extension of time?
No.
Chair hears none, and the member's time is extended.
The current map, even the map proposed by Chairman Hunter, has District 38 covering Harlingen, San Benito, Olmito, and Brownsville. And all of those communities are within a 5 to 10 minute drive. Would you agree with that geographically?
Well, this makes it more compact than that.
I'm asking you if you agree with that.
The 5-mile assessment, it sounds about right. I
And
think
would
maybe
you
10
agree
miles.
with me that the distance that you have in your map from Harlingen to the southmost part of Brownsville, which is the southernmost part that you have drawn on your amendment, is about a 45-minute to an hour-long drive to get there?
Brownsville's not in 37.
Yes, it is.
No, Brownsville's 38.
I live in Brownsville, so I can attest that the way your map is drawn on the outside easternmost part of FM 511,
Oh, okay. There might be a portion of the city limits.
that
Yeah.
is still Brownsville, even though it's in
Yeah.
the unincorporated area.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So those folks, statistically, are the most impoverished people in the state of Texas. And you have now drawn them into a district that for them to go see
To
the
Harlingen?
representative, they're going to have to drive an hour to get to within the same county.
The representative could be from that part you're talking about. They could have an office there. They could be from Port Isabel. They could be, I mean, it's a hypothetical, but Harlingen is how far from Brownsville? Like 10
25
miles?
minutes from my house.
Okay, so
But my house to the southmost is about 30 minutes. Yeah, so and this is my frustration, and I hope you'll explain this to me. Do the people that you spoke to, why didn't they ask for this seat to be based on the western half of Cameron County so that it's more of a vertically aligned district like it is currently?
well, considering the potential vacancies, if there is someone that steps up to run for another office, to make it most competitive, it just happens to fall in that area.
Let's wrap it up. Well, so the primary motivation then was to capture as many areas as you thought might be helpful to making this a competitive seat?
Yes, and having it contiguous with Willacy. And I've got a lot of history in Willacy and Cameron as well. I mean,
I appreciate your answers.
Yes,
I
sir.
would have preferred to hear these at any time before today.
Yes, sir.
I think we have had a good history together as colleagues, and I would have appreciated it. I do not like to be surprised like this on a day when my constituents back home were not expecting this to be on the House floor.
Yes, sir. I'll move.
The chair lays out on second reading.
The chair recognizes